The auction ground was loud, full of shouting, dust, and cruel laughter. Slaves were lined up in chains, pushed onto a metal platform one by one. Some cried, some screamed, some begged, but not her. She stood silently, her head slightly down, long silver hair falling over her dirty face. Her skin was soft blue, and her glowing purple eyes watched quietly through the strands of hair. She looked young, maybe 17 in human years. Her arms were thin, and her back was marked with bruises. The collar on her neck blinked red. She was still unsold. Next! The auctioneer shouted. People moved away. No one stepped forward. Whispers started. Too weak. Too strange. Damaged goods. Who wants a slave who won't even beg? The auctioneer forced a fake smile. This one is quiet, loyal, doesn't talk back. Good for housework. Come on, people. Still, no one raised their hand. She stood in the same spot. No emotion, no words. Only silence. Even when someone threw a small rock at her leg, she didn't react. Behind her, other aliens were being bought, quickly sold to traders, criminals, rich merchants, and worse. But she remained. Minutes passed. The crowd grew tired. The auctioneer cursed under his breath and turned away. Leave her, he told his guards. She's worthless. Let the desert have her. The guards dragged her off the stage. She fell into the dirt hard. Her chain was tied to a broken pole beside the auction wall. No food, no water, no voice to cry, but her eyes. They still searched the sky. Hours passed. The sun burned hot. The crowd was gone. Only the dust and the wind stayed behind. Then, footsteps. One pair, heavy boots stopped in front of her. She looked up slowly. It was a man. A human. He looked like a traveler. A long coat over his armor, a gun on his side, and a tired look in his deep brown eyes. He wasn't rich. He wasn't dressed fancy like the others. He looked like someone who had seen many battles. He knelt in front of her. She didn't speak. He didn't either. He took out a small bottle of water and placed it in her hand. She stared at it. I'm not here to hurt you, he said quietly. Still. She didn't drink. He sighed and stood. Then walked straight to the auctioneer. I'll take her. The auctioneer looked confused. Her? Are you joking? You could get 2 better ones for the same price. I said I'll take her, the man repeated, his voice firm. The auctioneer laughed. Fine, 10 credits and she's yours. But don't come crying back when she bites you. She heard the metal click. Her collar turned green. Sold. He came back to her and gently unlocked her chain. For a second she didn't move. He didn't pull her. He just stood there, waiting. Finally she stood up slowly. Her legs shook. Her body was weak. He didn't touch her. He only nodded and started walking. She followed. They walked through the market. People stared. A human bought her? What's wrong with him? She's cursed. But the human didn't care. He didn't even look at them. They reached a small ship parked outside the city wall. It wasn't big, but it was clean, simple. He opened the door and motioned her inside. Still quiet, still watching, she entered. Inside, he pointed to a seat and gave her a meal bar. She took it with shaking hands. You don't have to talk, he said, sitting across from her. You don't have to explain. She looked at him, her eyes full of questions. I saw the way you stood there, he said. You weren't scared, just waiting. She lowered her eyes again. You're not like the others, he whispered. She finally spoke, her voice small and dry. Why? Did you buy me? He paused. Because no one else did. That night, in a small bed, she curled up quietly, still unsure, still afraid. But for the first time in months, she wasn't chained. And for the first time in her life, she dreamed of the stars again. To be continued. Asterisk. The ship flew quietly through the dark sky. Stars blinked outside the windows. The girl sat near the back, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes stayed open, watchful, alert. She didn't sleep. She didn't trust him yet. The human named Joran sat in the pilot's seat. He didn't look at her much. He flew the ship calmly, as if nothing was strange about having a slave girl sitting in silence behind him. But she wasn't a slave anymore, and that made her more scared. They landed on a small desert moon called Cavo 3. It had no guards, no cities, just a few old buildings and a fuel station. Joran helped her down from the ship but didn't hold her arm or chain her. She could run if she wanted, but where would she go? He walked slowly, letting her follow at her own pace. Inside the fuel station, Joran nodded at the droid clerk, then ordered supplies. The girl watched carefully. She saw weapons hidden under his coat. She noticed how people avoided looking into his eyes. He wasn't weak. He wasn't rich. But he was dangerous. Still, he treated her gently. Why? That night, she sat near a small heater inside the ship. He handed her a hot drink and sat on the other side of the room. No questions. No orders. She finally spoke, voice soft. You're not like the others. He looked up, calm. Others? The ones who bought girls like me. I didn't buy you, he said. I rescued you. She stared at him. But you paid. I paid to stop someone worse from getting you. She didn't understand. Then, what do you want from me? He looked into her eyes, and for the first time, she saw sadness in his face. Nothing. He stood up and took a box from the shelf. Here. She opened it slowly. Inside were clean clothes. Soft ones, her size. I don't understand. She said, why are you helping me? He sat back down, tired. Long ago, someone helped me, when I was nothing. They didn't ask why. They just did. The girl touched the fabric of the shirt. Her fingers shook. I don't have anything to give. You don't have to give me anything, Joran said. That broke something inside her. Tears slipped from her eyes, and she turned her face away quickly. But he didn't move. He didn't say a word. He just let her cry. Later, while she slept. In the corner, Joran sat by his control panel. He opened a secret file. A photo appeared her face. He whispered, you're not just a girl from a slave block, are you? The data said she matched no known species in the public records. Her DNA was strange. Powerful. And valuable. But he closed the file. Whatever secrets she held, he wouldn't force them out. Not like the others. The next morning, she woke up to the smell of food. Real food. She sat up slowly, unsure. Joran handed her a bowl and sat beside her, quiet, peaceful. She looked at him again. Why don't you ask about me? He smiled lightly. When you're ready to talk, you will. A pause. My name is Sari, she whispered. He nodded. Sari, that's a beautiful name. She watched him again. You're human? He laughed softly. Yes, you've never met one before? She shook her head. Only stories. They say humans are cruel, cold, monsters of war. Joran looked away. Some are, but not all. A long silence. Then she said, you're not a monster. Later, she helped him fix wires in the engine room. Her hands were careful, quick. You've done this before? He asked. She gave a small nod. I used to help repair ships for traders before I was taken. He watched her for a moment. You're not just smart, you're trained. She didn't reply, but inside, her heart beat faster. He was noticing things, and that scared her more than anything, because the last time someone noticed her, she was sold. That night, as the ship slept, Joran added a security shield, not to keep her in, but to keep others out, because somewhere deep inside, he knew, someone would come looking for her, and when they did, he had to be ready. To be continued. The ship flew low over an empty green moon, landing beside a waterfall hidden in the forest. Joran wanted to check a supply cache he left here long ago, but Sari had something else on her mind. The dreams had started again, and this time, they Felt real. She woke in a cold sweat. Her hands gripped the bed tightly. Her back burned like fire crawling under her skin. She bit her lip to stay silent. She didn't want Joran to hear, but he already stood by the door, watching her with worried eyes. "You okay?" She nodded quickly. "Just a dream." He didn't push. "We'll rest here today. No rush." When he left, she stood in front of the mirror in the tiny washroom. She pulled up the back of her shirt and gasped. The mark had returned. It glowed faint purple, now shaped like a sharp spiral with stars at the edge. Not a scar, not a tattoo. Something alive. She touched it softly. Her breath shook. This wasn't just a mark. It was calling something. Joran stood outside near the stream, his hands in the water, lost in thought. His old war instincts were buzzing. Something was different about Sari. She wasn't just another alien girl. She was hiding something big. He wasn't angry, but he needed to know. Later that evening, they sat by the fire near the ship. A quiet breeze moved through the trees. "Joran," she said softly, "have you seen this symbol before?" She slowly turned her back to him, pulling her shirt just high enough. The mark shimmered in the firelight. His eyes widened. He stood up slowly. "Where did you get that?" "I've had it since I was born," she whispered. "But it was gone when I was taken. Now it's back." Joran pulled out a small device from his belt and scanned it. His hands shook. This matches the ancient royal seal of the Velari Highbloods." She turned to face him. "I don't know what that means." He sat down slowly, stunned. They were a powerful race. Some say they ruled half the galaxy long ago. Others say they vanished during the Great Collapse. Nobody's seen one in centuries. She was silent. Then she said, "My mother used to tell me stories of stars that obeyed voices, of blood that glowed like suns." Joran stared at her. "Sari, you're not just a runaway. You're royalty." She shook her head. "No, I'm just someone who survived." But deep inside, she knew. Something had awakened. That night, Joran opened his encrypted files again. He searched old star maps, history logs, ancient DNA records. The symbol matched the House of Velari, last seen 400 years ago. Her DNA was a perfect match, pure blood. She wasn't a mistake on the auction block. She was the reason the auction existed. The next morning, Joran was working on the ship's weapons. Sari came out, her face pale. "I need to tell you the truth." He stopped and looked at her. "Go on." She took a deep breath. "I was born in a hidden temple on a cold moon. My mother was a healer. My father, he wore a crown. When I was very small, soldiers attacked. My mother gave me to a servant and told them to run. I was passed from planet to planet, hidden, until they found me. The slavers, they didn't know who I was. Just that I glowed sometimes when I touched old machines." She looked up at Joran. "I don't know if my people are alive. I don't even know who I really am." He nodded. "But someone does. And they're probably still looking for you." She whispered, "Then we have to stay hidden." But Joran stood firm. "No, we prepare. We don't run. If you are the last of your kind, then you deserve to stand tall." Sari's eyes shimmered. "Why do you care?" He looked at her without blinking. "Because I've fought for the wrong people before. This time, I want to fight for something right, far above the moon." A shadow moved through space. A large warship, black and silent. Inside, a voice growled. "We found her. The signal has returned." A red hologram of Sari's glowing mark spun in the air. "She cannot reach the throne world. Kill the human if needed, but bring her back alive." The silence broke with a sharp alarm. Red lights flashed inside the ship. Sari jolted awake. Joran was already up, gun in hand, staring at the radar screen. "They found us," he said. Her heart dropped. "Who?" He looked at her with calm, cold eyes. "The kind that don't knock before killing." Outside, The forest was still until the black ship broke through the clouds like a falling knife. It landed fast and heavy, crushing trees under its legs. 6 figures stepped out, dressed in black armor, their helmets smooth like insect faces. Mercenaries. Hunters. Paid to find her, and they came ready to kill. Inside the ship, Joran locked the door and handed Sari a small pack. Stay hidden in the crawlspace under the engine. Don't come out unless I call. She froze. But you'll be alone. He checked his rifle. I've been alone before. She grabbed his sleeve. What if they... He looked back. I didn't save you to give you up. And then before she could argue, he opened the hatch and stepped out into the clearing. The mercenaries saw him. The leader raised a hand, signaling the others to spread out. You're outnumbered. Human, the voice boomed from the helmet. Turn over the girl. Joran didn't flinch. She's not yours. She belongs to the client. Joran raised his weapon. Then your client should have come in person. The mercenary tilted his head. You won't survive this, Joran smirked. You're welcome to try. The fight exploded in seconds. Joran moved faster than Sari had ever seen. 1 shot to the left. A grenade to the right. He ducked behind rocks, moved through trees, and took down 2 attackers before they could even scream. But the mercenaries were trained too. One flanked him, slicing his side with an energy blade. Blood hit the dirt. Joran rolled, shot the attacker point blank, then disappeared into the smoke. Inside the ship, Sari felt every explosion. Every shot made her hands tremble. She couldn't stay hidden anymore. She crawled out and opened a hidden compartment. Inside, a small, ancient relic wrapped in cloth. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Only when you are truly in danger. Only when you have something worth saving. She placed her hand on the relic. It pulsed. Then it lit up. Outside, Joran fell to one knee. His breathing was heavy. Only 2 mercenaries left, but they were circling him like wolves. Then a strange sound stopped them all. A deep hum, and a bright purple light shot out of the ship like a beam into the sky. Sari stepped into view, her eyes glowing. The relic floating above her hands. One of the mercenaries panicked. That's Velari tech. She activated it. The leader shouted, take her down now. But it was too late. The relic spun and released a wave of force, knocking both mercenaries off their feet and disabling their weapons in a flash of lightning. Joran looked up, stunned. Sari, what did you do? She walked toward him slowly, the relic now dimming in her hands. I don't know, she whispered. It just listened. He looked at her with new eyes, not as someone to protect, but someone powerful. Someone rising. Later, inside the ship, Joran stitched up his wound while Sari sat nearby, holding the relic. They'll send more, she said. I know. They know who I am. I know that too. She looked at him. You're bleeding because of me. He smiled weakly. I've bled for worse reasons. She leaned closer. You should leave me. I'm not safe. He stared at her. Sorry. I didn't come this far to drop you at the first sign of trouble. But why? She whispered. Why do you keep risking everything for me? His voice was low, honest. Because you're not just a girl they want to catch. You're a girl the galaxy forgot. And I think it's time it remembers. Far away, inside a gold-lit chamber on a floating station, a hooded figure watched the battle footage. He leaned forward as Sari activated the relic. She's alive, he said, voice dark and deep. A servant bowed. Shall we send the fleet? The man smiled coldly. No, not yet. Let the human build her hope. Let her feel safe, then. We take everything. It began with a voice. Not outside. Inside her. A whisper like wind moving through an ancient cave. Awaken. The ship drifted through space. Joran was resting in the medbay, his wound healing slowly. Sari sat near him, silent, but her eyes were Fixed on the glowing relic in her lap, the relic had changed since the battle. Now it pulsed slowly like it was breathing. Waiting, she couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. The voice was getting louder every hour, and then it spoke clearly. Come to the heart of Velari. Come home. She stood and walked to the ship's star map. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Suddenly, the relic rose from her hand and projected an unknown set of stars into the air. Symbols in a language she had never learned, but somehow understood. Coordinates. She entered them into the system. Joran walked in behind her, limping. Where are we going? She turned slowly. I don't know the name. But the relic does. It's calling me. He looked at the stars. That's deep territory, no trade routes. No protection. She looked into his eyes. You don't have to come, he smiled. You think I'm letting you face this alone? The ship jumped to hyperspace. For hours, they flew in silence. Sari stood alone in the center of the control room, the relic floating around her slowly. Memories flickered through her mind, things she had never seen, but now remembered. A woman with glowing eyes, speaking to hundreds of warriors, a silver city floating over stars. A child being lifted in the air as crowds cheered. Her history. Her bloodline. They landed on a dead planet. No life. No air. Just stone and silence. But the relic glowed brighter. This is it, she whispered. Joran handed her a breather mask. Let's find your answers. They stepped out into the cold dust. The relic floated ahead, leading them through canyons until they found it, a door, 10 times taller than Joran, covered in ancient markings. Sari placed her hand on it. The door opened without a sound. Inside, everything came alive. Lights powered on from deep inside the walls. The floor lit up beneath their steps. Giant statues lined the hallway, beings that looked like Sari, but taller, older, stronger. At the center of the room sat a stone throne. Not just a seat, a control point. Sari walked toward it. Her fingers shook. Her heart beat fast. When she touched the throne, the relic flew into the air and dropped into a socket above the seat. A blast of energy hit Sari. She screamed, but didn't fall. Instead, she began to glow. Joran ran toward her, but a shield of light pushed him back. He watched helplessly as Sari rose into the air, her eyes turning silver, her body surrounded by swirling symbols. Voices filled the room, ancient, powerful, echoing. She who carries the blood, she who carries the key. Images flashed entire. Fleets bowing before her ancestors. Temples full of powerful machines. Wars fought with thoughts, not weapons. The Velari were not just rulers. They were creators. And now, their last heir had returned. Sari dropped to her knees. The glow faded. Joran rushed forward. Are you okay? She looked up, tears in her eyes, but they weren't sad tears. I remember everything now, she whispered. My people, their fall, their hope, me. Joran helped her stand. What else did the throne show you? She turned toward the center of the chamber. A panel opened. Inside was something covered in silver cloth. She pulled it off. A weapon. Not just any weapon, a crown-shaped gauntlet. Ancient tech that responded only to royal blood. She slipped it on. It clicked. The gauntlet lit up and locked. In place like it had waited for her for centuries. But outside, trouble was coming. The same black warship from before hovered above the planet, now silent, hiding in the dust clouds. Inside, the hooded man smiled as he watched the energy spikes from Sari's throne awakening. She's unlocked it, he whispered. Begin the siege. Prepare to take it all. Back on the surface, Sari stepped out of the temple with Joran. Her eyes glowed faintly. Her body felt stronger, lighter. The wind obeyed her movements. Joran looked at her differently. Now. Not just a girl he saved, but something more. What do we do now? He asked. Sari looked at the stars above. They're coming, she said. But I'm not afraid. Joran raised an eyebrow. Why not? She lifted her hand. The air around her shimmered. Because this time, I remember who I am. Asterisk the temple slept, but Joran couldn't. While Sari rested in the ancient throne chamber, her breathing calm. Her body slowly adapting to the relic's power, Joran stood, alone in the ship's control room. The screen in front of him blinked with a cold light. Accessing. File, Operation Warden _OX. He hesitated, then pressed enter. On the screen appeared a single photo. Sari. But not as she was now. This image was from before, when she was younger, hidden in a refugee colony, before the slavers found her. Her silver hair was tied back, and her violet eyes were full of fear. Joran stared at the photo for a long time. Then played the voice. Message attached. Agent Joran, if you're hearing this, it means the girl survived. The last heir of Elari must be found quietly. Do not alert the Galactic Council. Do not make contact unless she's stable. Protect her, watch her, train her if needed. If her powers awaken, you will guide her to the ancient throne. Then you will report. Do not get attached. The message ended, but Joran didn't move, because he had already broken the final order. He didn't find her by accident. He had been sent by people who feared her power, but needed it alive. At first, it was just another mission, but somewhere between the quiet dinners, her gentle questions, and the way she cried in her sleep, Joran stopped being a watcher and started being a protector. Now she trusted him, and he had lied. Behind him, a voice broke the silence. How long have you known? Joran turned quickly. Sari stood in the doorway, barefoot, her hair glowing faintly in the dark. I was going to tell you, he said slowly. You scanned me the night we escaped the auction, she said softly. Did you know even then? He looked away. I suspected. The mark on your back proved it. Tears didn't fall from her eyes this time, only a cold stillness. So I was your mission. At first, yes, he said, but not anymore. She stepped forward. When did that change? Joran looked at her. When you cried for someone else's pain. Silence. Sari stood still for a long time, then turned and walked out. Not a word, not a scream, just silence. Outside, she stood at the edge of the ruined throne world. Stars moved slowly above her, but her heart raced fast. He was supposed to be the only one she trusted, and now he was like the others. No, not like the others. He saved her, fought for her. And lied to her. Suddenly, the ground shook. Not from emotion, from arrival. A shadow blocked the sky. The black warship descended with no warning, no mercy. Dozens of smaller assault pods launched from its belly, flying toward the planet like fireflies of death. Joran ran out of the ship, just as Sari turned back toward the temple. We have incoming, he shouted. I know, she said. They've come for the throne. And me. Joran raised his rifle. Then let's make them regret it. But Sari didn't move. She looked at him. And for a moment, he thought she would tell him to leave. Instead, she said, you lied, but you stayed. That still counts for something. He blinked. You're not angry? I am, she said. But I also remember what my people were taught, which is... She lifted the gauntlet from her arm. Never fight alone. They ran together toward the temple. Above them, the assault pods crashed into the cliffs. Black armored soldiers poured out faster, stronger, more advanced than before. They weren't here to test her. They were here to take her. Alive. Or broken. Inside the throne chamber, Sari raised the gauntlet. The walls around them lit up. Hidden defenses powered on. Blades of light. Drones from the floor. A shimmering barrier over the throne. Joran took position behind a pillar. You know how to use all this? No, Sari said. But I think it remembers me. The enemy stormed the temple. The first wave fell fast, cut down by ancient defenses, but more came, climbing, burning. Digging. Sari stood tall in the middle of it, all her arms raised. Her voice calm. The relic spun again, and the crown shaped. Gauntlet opened like a blooming flower. From it came not a weapon, but a beacon, a message, a signal. Not just a call for help, a call to rise out across the galaxy. Hidden places stirred. Sleepers awakened. Old machines blinked. The last Velari was no longer hidden. She was standing, and she was not alone. The temple shook with fire. Walls cracked. Ancient lights flickered. The sky above the dead world burned red with enemy ships. Sari stood in the center of it, all unmoving, eyes glowing silver. Around her, old energy flowed like wind. And from her hand, the beacon continued to call. Far across the stars. Something was answering. Joran fired shot after shot from behind a fallen pillar. Enemy soldiers stormed the temple, shouting commands, launching grenades, slicing through walls with plasma blades. But the ancient defenses kept holding for now. Sari, he called, we're running out of time. She didn't flinch. She didn't run. She closed her eyes and listened. And then it happened. The stars above shifted. A sound, low and deep, filled the air like thunder underwater. Joran looked up, and his mouth fell open. Dozens of silver ships appeared from hyperspace. Not human, not mercenary. Velri. They had returned, or perhaps they had never truly left. Ships shaped like wings and blades descended in silence. Their designs ancient, but glowing with blue power. Each one answered her call. Each one knelt in the air. Sari stepped forward. She raised her gauntlet. The throne behind her lit up in full. The walls hummed. The soldiers who were about to strike suddenly paused, confused, afraid. She has the crown. One shouted, it's just a relic. Barked the commander. No, said a new voice. A Velari captain appeared through the energy gate, tall, armored in glowing silver, eyes filled with light. He walked past the soldiers, ignoring them completely, and knelt before Sari. High blood Sari, he said, voice echoing. We have come to serve. Everything froze. Even the enemy knew. This was no longer a hunt. This was a coronation. Joran stepped beside her, bruised and bleeding. Did you know this would happen? He asked. She looked at him. No, she whispered. But the throne did. The enemy soldiers tried to retreat, but the temple sealed behind them. Sari turned to them, not with hate, not with rage, but with truth. You hunted me because you feared what I was, she said, her voice calm. But I was never your property. I was never your slave. I am the daughter of the Velari, and I remember everything now. She raised her hand. The light from the throne rose into the sky, into her, and then out again. A pulse of pure energy swept the temple. It didn't kill the soldiers. It freed them. Their weapons powered down. Their minds cleared. Their hate fell. Quiet. The relic didn't want revenge. It wanted balance. Later, the temple was quiet again. The enemy ships had left. The Velari fleet now circled the planet, protecting it like a crown of stars. Sari sat on the throne, not like a ruler of war, but like someone who finally came home. Joran stood beside her, arms crossed. You know they'll come back, he said. She nodded. Yes, but next time we'll be ready. And what about me? He asked. I wasn't honest. I was part of the lie. She turned toward him and smiled. You were also the one who stayed. She stood, stepped down from the throne, and looked up at the sky. My people have returned. The galaxy will feel their light again. She touched Joran's hand. And you'll walk beside me? He grinned. I already made that choice. High above them, the Velari ships moved in quiet beauty. A lost queen had risen, not in anger, not in fire, but in truth. She was once unwanted, once sold, once forgotten. But now, she was chosen. She was free. She was queen.